Hi, y'all. Welcome to the Griffon Show. All right, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, it's your opportunity to be part of the program. There's a little climate change use. Mitch Landrieu got an award. I'm not making it up, folks. No, it's not all the bad awards he really deserves, but we'll get to that. But it is for, I wonder when they're going to give him an award for voting for Confederate license plates. He never got an award on that yet. I don't know why he hadn't gotten an award for courage. But anyway, we'll get to that. Drinking age, legislature. The big news to break yesterday is Paul Ryan may last another 30, 60 days as Speaker of the House. And all the stories that I'm reading, and I have not talked to Steve Scalise, Representative Scalise, but all the stories that I'm reading and looking at, that if this happens, that Scalise could be the next Speaker of the House, at least for short term until, congressional elections are this fall. I don't know if you folks remember that, but this fall we're going to be voting for our congressman. We don't have a United States senator on the ballot. We will have one in the next presidential election. Bill Cassidy will be up for re-election in 2 years. But so Steve Scalise could be the new Speaker of the House if Paul Ryan steps down. Now, personally, I hope he steps down. I wish Mitch McConnell would do the same thing. When Trump won, I said from day one, that would be a problem if they don't get rid of McConnell and Paul Ryan. They didn't get rid of them, and Ryan's going to go ahead and retire and just bail. And after all the great work he's done, McConnell needs to go as well. They really need some hard, and Scalise now, Steve's only problem was, as a majority whip, his job was to whip up votes for legislation. So there will be people that shoot back at Scalise because of the votes and him whipping up votes for some of these people like McConnell. I'm sorry, not McConnell, but Paul Ryan. Who was there before Paul Ryan? Who was the one that cried all the time? Boehner?
Oh, yeah, John Boehner.
John, he was the worst. Oh. And Scalise had to whip up votes for these people as a deal. So there will be people use that against him if he ever runs again. Now, as a congressman, he'll win that position again. I don't know if he runs for governor or not. I'm waiting to see what happens with all that. Some people believe it'll be Kennedy. Some believe it'll be Scalise. I know Jeff Landry would love to run. I don't think Jeff's going to run, but, who knows in a governor's race, because they know a Republican's going to beat Bill Edwards next time. All the thing that we got out of Bill Edwards and Jay Darden, the co-governorship, is taxes and LGBT work. And he ain't winning many on either one of them at this point, but he did win enough. So legislative sessions meeting right now, that all kind of bills coming through. There was one yesterday that Louisiana senators refused Monday to eliminate gender-specific terms from state marriage laws in response to a 2015 U.S. Supreme Court decision legalizing same-sex marriage, amid opposition from the law changes from Christian conservatives. So on a 4-1 vote, it's dead. So a marriage is between a man and a woman. It is in God's eyes, and it still is in the state laws. So anyway, it is what it is. A marriage is a man and a woman. It's always going to be a man and a woman. It doesn't matter what man does with laws, Supreme Court included. In God's eyes, a man and a woman. So our state in this particular committee said, nope, we're not changing that. That's what it is. And once again, the left and the news, they're going to trip out on that, by the way. Mark my word, they're going to freak out on it. Mark my word, there'll be some event coming to Louisiana and say, you see the laws, the hate laws Louisiana has? It doesn't have a hate law. The majority of citizens, I guarantee if you did a poll number, it'd be in the 90th percentile of people that believe a marriage is between a man and a woman. So the Senate committee actually voted to just verify what Louisiana and most all states should be. That's just the way it was designed from the beginning to the end. Didn't say man can't mess it up, because we messed up a lot of stuff. But man and woman. Also, LSU president says bright students are being recruited by out-of-state schools. King Alexander, the president of LSU at the press club, says some of the state's smartest students are being recruited out of state by universities that have greater financial certainty and more scholarship dollars to offer, particularly 28 and above on the ACT and 30 and above. By the way, I wish somebody would tell King, you realize when people are making 28 and 30 pluses on the ACT that they've always been recruited from out of state? We recruit students from out of state to come in here. That's just a fact. That's called competition. Now, I know with budget problems. It's all about budget problems. It's all about TOPS. And I'm reading what people are saying about TOPS, that their kids may not be able to go to school that if they don't have TOPS. And I've already told you where I stand on that. I don't really care anymore. I'm tired of it being a political football. I know folks don't get mad at me for saying that. That's me. That's my personal opinion. Okay? And the one thing, and people can get mad at this, the one thing, we got student debt out on the wazoo. Because here's what's happened. As tuition and all that stuff, universities all over the country, there's tuition skyrocketing. We got more people making six figures in higher education than anywhere and probably any field, if the truth is known on a percentage. Why does everybody in higher ed have to make higher six-figure salaries? And we pay our presidents, $400,000 to $1 million, $400,000 to $1 million a year. They got the best retirement systems in the world. Why does it have to be so expensive? See, because that's the angle that nobody's taking. We got people getting record debt to go to universities. The reason people are leaving this state, as you know, is jobs. One reason, jobs. And that's why we got an out-migration problem. So, as I hear about we don't have enough money for TOPS, or we don't have enough money for this, and these people are recruiting against us. By the way, they recruit against us, too. When these kids graduate college, they recruit against us, too, for jobs. We don't talk about that in the state of Louisiana. We just talk about how can we get more money in higher ed? How can we get more money in state government? That's all we talk about. We never talk about, well, let me ask you a question. If you're worried about losing these kids to other universities, why don't you worry about losing these kids to other people at other states that have jobs, real jobs for their people when they graduate? Something we will not focus on this state. We don't focus on that in this state. I read yesterday, Brian, I think from KPL News, unemployment's down to 4.5%. But what kind of jobs are being created? Why are we having an out-migration problem? It must not be the jobs that university graduating kids want, because they're still crossing the border for jobs, and people are leaving for jobs. Hey, why don't we, I tell you what, and maybe we ought to look at how much at the cost of higher ed, because here's what's happened. Dormitories are still around in colleges, Brandon, but that's not the norm anymore. Most people would rather go get an apartment, and that's when they're having to spend a lot of money to go to school. So I think there's an opportunity that we could be pricing ourselves out. I'm not talking about just Louisiana in this. We're pricing ourselves so high in higher ed. We've convinced everybody that if you go to a university, and the more it costs, the better it is. And so we're allowing people to go run up debt. We're allowing people to go, because there's a dream that the more money we can pay at a university, the better job we're going to get. Might not be in Louisiana. Maybe we're looking at this thing the wrong way. Maybe we've gotten too pricey. Maybe we've gotten too pricey on the education side. The book racket is still out there for these young kids. I know, I played it. I had to buy them. I had two kids that have already gone through school. Do you think we're pricing ourselves out of the market so the average person can go to school? Why does it have to be so expensive? Now, by the way, there are ways to cut that down. If you're a TOPS recipient, get a couple other scholarships and live at home, and went to a local school, everybody's got a university in their backyard, and it's a lot more affordable. It's no doubt about it. And you can work. We were required to work. My kids were required to work. But folks, they're pricing themselves out. I'm telling y'all, we're trying to tell people, and people have this mentality, the more you pay for college, the better you're going to be. And I think universities really believe the more money they can stick in education, the better it's going to be for students. And I thought about this. This is the biggie. King said dragging this out on his budget and holding higher education and holding students' parents hostage with TOPS and top scholarships is not beneficial for the state. Do you think we ought to go back to we just pay our own dollar for education? get away from TOPS and scholarships and see what people can afford, and maybe universities' costs will come down when they find out they don't have as many students because people can't afford it? You think the answer could be maybe parents and children and kids and young college kids ought to pay 100% of the load? I wonder if that would make the cost go down. I'm just throwing that out at you. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. We might can do something about it more than you think. President of LSU, and by the way, I don't know him, so he's a smart guy, King Alexander, saying the best and brightest students are being recruited by out-of-state schools. Yeah, and we do the same thing. Brandon, you had a call. The lady, a guy didn't want to get on the air, talked about how their kids at a school with somebody that got more scholarships coming from another state into here. We recruit them too. That's what King don't understand. It's called competition. We're trying to get the best and brightest while we hold on to what we have. You watch the recruiting in football. It's no different. It's no different at all. You got people, Brandon, that have moved out of this state. A lot of them in out-migration. And guess what? I'm just going to be blunt. This is what happened. I bet you people that have moved back and forth from Texas can tell you this. They lived there all their lives, and they left for jobs. Last year, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And they had students, and they grew up as LSU Tiger football fans. They graduated from LSU. And their kids have a chance to go to school, and they grew up as LSU fans. I'm not talking about just sports, the school in general. And, Brandon, what happens is they want to come back to school here. They want to come back to Louisiana, even though the parents can't because they're working. So they go to LSU. But if they're really bright kids and they make really high ACT scores, they get an opportunity, Brandon, to come back here to go to school. They do it. So we're recruiting. Guarantee you somebody can call and say, we moved out. My kid came back. You know, you're recruiting those types. But when they get out of school, they're going to go where the jobs are. My question is this. How many of you people, after sending your kids to school, and that have them in school, how many of you people think the college, quote, university, college thing has gotten ridiculous in the amount they charge? How many of you think that it's out? We don't ever talk about that part of it being totally out of control. All we talk about is budget cuts, and TOPS. But I know, folks, because I got friends that I've sent my kids to school, and I saw it skyrocket up. And it was ridiculous every semester I had to write a check. You can't make me believe there's not people that have their kids in school just pulling their hair out going, man, this thing is getting ridiculous. Even with a scholarship, how high it's getting and how much debt you're running up. I don't know, what is, Brandon, and you may know this off the top of your head, what is the average debt per student? Is it in the 20s now?
Oh,
20,
student
25?
Loan debt? Oh, I think it's a lot more than that, Moon.
Per person?
I don't know the per person. I just know student loan has surpassed credit card debt.
It's over $1 trillion. I mean, I know it is, but what I'm saying is, and I don't know yet. I'm going to find out in 3 years. But I just want to know, is the problem because we have so many scholarships coming through the universities and school like TOPS, jacking the price up, causing the price to go way up, and making it unaffordable unless you have a scholarship? Are you willing to go get $80,000 or $100,000 in student loans? I just think it's a conversation we need to have.
So the average is $30,100
per student.
$30,000.
So when you get out of school, you're going to have at least $30,000 in debt.
And look, that's only bachelor's level. That's not master's. And
well, you start talking about $75,000, $100,000, $150,000 at that point. Uh-huh. So just think about what we do to kids. We send them through school. They got $30,000 worth of debt the day they walk off, and they got to start paying that back. And I think what we've allowed to happen, this is my opinion, y'all may think differently, we've allowed universities and colleges, we've been told so much, we're not at the southern average, you ought to go to some other states. I don't want to hear that. We don't make as much money as they make either. I think we're pricing ourselves out of, I just really think we're getting getting whacked on the cost of a university and the price of a degree. How many of you people driving around here got a degree? I got a degree. I'm not doing anything like I got a degree in. How many of you people got a degree and you're working in that field right now? Just kind of curious. How many people got a degree and then found out there was no jobs here for that? Yet, you owe $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in debt. There's something out of whack. And if we got an out-migration problem and the best and brightest are leaving, so we're getting them educated, trying to help pay for it, and then they're leaving. Which, by the way, I'm never going to be for putting bars around the state and holding people in here because we won't get our job market straight. That's not what you need to do. Some people, even friends of mine have said, well, I wish, we had Gus Rance on, and Gus made a good point. Gus was making some good points. Didn't agree with that, but he said, well, we ought to make them stay somewhat or maybe pay back some of it. I don't think we ought to. I think we ought to get businesses and job climate moving correctly in the state so when people are going to put out all this money, they have a job to go to in the great state of Louisiana. That's the answer. It's a lot of money, folks. I think we've priced our way out way too high in higher ed. We don't need all these people with six-figure salaries. All right, we got to take a break. They can get mad at me all they want to. It's one man's opinion. We'll take a break. Be right back. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. And by the way, I want to mention again that do you think universities, I'm talking about all over the country, have priced themselves out the market because of the debt and all that stuff that people are having to run up just to go get an education to go to work? Is the price of higher ed overrated? Now, somebody can call and say, it's not overrated. My daddy spent $2 million to send us to school. That's fine. I think it's becoming overrated on the cost versus what you're going to get out of it. Now, there are exceptions to that. Doctors and, from a doctor to a nurse to whatever. I know the medical field, it takes a little bit longer to go to school, and it's a pretty expensive venture. I'm just wondering if they price themselves out the market. Somebody that's going to school can answer that. Somebody that's just graduated or have kids graduate. Or they're just making it ridiculous to where it's going to be only the rich can go to school. Let's go to Jason in Shreveport. Jason, how you doing?
Doing great, Moon. I was noticing things around my fraternity house over the last 30 years. I'm alumni of Tau Kappa Epsilon. When I went to college, it was about half and half, liberals and conservatives, and you'd have 2 or 3 blacks and 1 or 2 gays in the fraternity. That was a typical year. And since 1990, I've noticed that the parking lot at my old college has decreased in the amount of cars. And the cost of college education has skyrocketed to almost triple what it was. But at the same time, their recruiting standard, when you go to a college and you apply for, I went on a music scholarship. I interviewed with the band director. The character of the band director is what got me into that school. The character of the human resources people in the school got me to the school. Now, I'm a Republican, I always have been. What you have now is a situation where the people that are in charge of the college are liberal Democrats. Liberal Democrat band directors, liberal Democrat everything. It's not about pricing out college, making it so expensive where just anybody can't afford it. It's about making sure that only liberal Democrats get the indoctrinated education. When you're a Republican, you get fooled into going to a college, and then you find out once you get there that you're about to be indoctrinated into a Marxist education. You don't want to graduate from that college. Therefore, you see a lot of our universities in Louisiana have a very low graduation rates. In fact, they don't even make it to their junior year. They're disenchanted with college. They get there and realize, I already learned this in high school. That's why people are in Colorado with their children right now, over in Arkansas and other places, raising their children to get educated where the education actually counts when you leave the state. People in Idaho or Illinois look at you and say, oh, you graduated from a college in Louisiana? That's like a community college. It don't really count because they know our standard of education is not what it should be. They're more worried about changing your thinking process in Louisiana. They're not worried about graduating scientists because you cannot propagandize math. You cannot propagandize physics. You can't do it.
Yeah.
It's plain and simple. They're more worried about getting people in there in sociology, in psychology, in English, anything they can get educated enough to get you into their school systems to change the thinking of the minds of the people in school. It's all what it's about. And this whole thing about
what about just, let me go back to this, the cost. I know you're talking about liberal, conservative. I understand all that. But I'm saying the cost, just the pure cost of going to school, don't you think they're outpricing themselves? I mean, we're only going to have really rich people, upper middle class people that can go to college.
When you got a checking account that's got an unlimited amount of funds on it, you got a guaranteed situation where your legislators are going to put more money into TOPS to further fund your propagandized colleges. You're not worried about whether or not you're going to keep college low, prices low, because when the student was more worried about paying for that education, they were lobbying to reduce the cost of education.
But don't you think the prices just skyrocket out of control?
They have scheduled price increases. Just like Coca-Cola knows what price Coca-Cola is going to be in 10 years, so does the university. And once you give them a blank check with TOPS, they say, well, hey, we can charge as much as we want, because if we don't, we can call those legislators racist because they didn't pass TOPS. TOPS is the only way you can get a free education. Well, I got college educated working for Coca-Cola, and they paid for my college education. They actually have tuition payback programs at businesses. If you attract enough businesses into your state, like General Motors, you can go to college and they actually pay for it. No. But they don't advertise that. They don't want you to know that if you get businesses here, they'll pay for your education. No. They want a blank check so that they can continue to raise costs.
Well, the cost is getting bad. I'm just telling you, I believe they're going to outprice themselves. And, unless you get a scholarship or you're very wealthy, you're not going to be able to go to school. That's what it's looking like more every day. So anyway, let me run. Appreciate the call. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Let's talk to Mark in Shreveport. Mark, how you doing?
Good morning, man. Doing fine. You're absolutely right. I just finished graduating in 4. I had them in college from 07 to 17. And you're right, it is the cost. And let me give you my reason why I think it's what's causing it. Same reason the cost of automobiles went up and health care. When people got to where they couldn't afford the car, they just looked at what the monthly payment was, then they didn't really care about the actual price. They said, if I can afford that monthly payment, I'll do it. And that made the cost of cars go up. Health care, when it became single payer through insurance, when we said I can't pay the doctor, I'll just turn it in my insurance. They no longer thought about that it was a $50,000 bill. Then everything's insurance, and then the government's trying to take it over. Single payer made it go through the roof. Now the same thing's happening with education. When Obama's took over the student loan situation, my first child's second year in college, I saw things go up.
Yeah, good point. That's a good point.
I'm going to pay my student loan. I just pay it off later. I don't care what it costs now. And the price shot up. And from 07 to 17, it did just like cars and health care, because people don't look at the total price. They just look like what's their monthly payment going to be on their student loan after they graduate. And anybody can get a student loan. It's just, and they don't think about what it's going to cost them when they graduate. So it is the same thing, and those, teachers, we feel guilty about how underpaid they are. Well, not professors. You drive around these university cities and go in the nice neighborhoods and some of the best houses, they're the professors. They're not just doctors. They're not just business owners. They're the professors. They're living good.
I got news for you. I went to a restaurant, this was years ago, and it was right around LSU. And I was there at lunch, and there must have been about 20, 25 older men there. I say older men, 50s to 75. And they were drinking, having a good old time. And the lady I was talking to, I said, what are those guys here? He said, that's all those college professors that are already retired. And, man, let me tell you something. Just to fund a retirement system for people that work at universities is phenomenal. And people can get mad at me all they want to. I'm telling you, I'm just telling you, the price of an education is skyrocketed, and we're not doing anything to stop it. And I think some of the things you said were right on the money. You know, they took over student loans. That means no big deal. There was a big talk when Hillary Clinton was running. We're going to get rid of all the student loan debt and all that stuff. Yeah. And I'm telling you,
they live in the best houses of Austin, Texas, and they taught my daughter to vote for Obama.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's overpriced, and the middle-class people are being priced out of their own country. And I'm telling you, higher ed's too much money in it. Too much money. They keep saying it's not enough. It's too much in it. And we better wake up. We'll all be worried about paying how we're going to pay something off. 30, 40,000 debt, you come out of college and go to work. That's crushing. Student loans. Barack Obama and them took the student loan thing over. And what happened was, when they took it over, universities, and people have called and said this too, the university fees shot up because there was also a talk by the great Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton how they were going to just do away with college loans. In other words, just wash them off. And people got excited and said, you know what, I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to take this class, and I'm going to do what I want to do, and I don't care how much I run up, because Obama and Hillary is going to take care of this. And so the universities are jacking up the price. Nobody's caring whatsoever. And guess what? That's not what happened. Do you think we ought to forgive the college debt, folks? I'm telling you, I'm starting to believe this college thing and this college experience has more to do about salaries and retirement than it does about students performing the best they can be. You know, look, I'm being honest about this. There's a racket going on, and once again, middle class getting spanked. Just got another letter. Somebody went to Louisiana, right here in Lafayette. Said she lived at home, drove into school each day, $6,000 a semester, saved money, rented textbooks, bought used previous editions, had tops, paid some scholarships, still had to take out a student loan. Ended up owing about $12,000 in loans to repay. Unfortunately, Brandon, the business degree are not in high demand in Louisiana and probably going to end up losing the person to another state because there are no jobs for her. What did I say at the beginning of this? I've always said jobs matter more than universities. Oh, man, how can you say that? Because I can say it because it's true. We're losing people. The reason we got out-migration is for jobs, and some of these people don't care. I tell you what, them big salaries keep coming. We're being played. Then there's a big thing saying that because of sports arenas and things they're doing, Brandon, that normally jacks up fees, not necessarily tuition. Somebody else writes, the student is no longer a consumer in the equation. Universities raise tuition because TOPS has been an open checkbook. Students just the middleman here. I also have a degree that I am currently not using due to the poor job market. That's the point I'm making. When you consider what you're getting for what you're paying, is this thing overblown? Is it getting out of hand on the cost of going to school? Well, I got a right to ask the question. I got another kid that's going to come and go to school. And I'm hearing about how much I hadn't had a kid in school. Somebody might can help me here. My kid has been out of the last one that I had that was in college. Has been out for about 6 years now. I don't know what the cost is now because I'm not even looking. I'm too scared to look. But you get these stories. What I'm talking about, folks, makes more sense. We are pricing ourselves. I'm not just talking about Louisiana in this. It's not a Louisiana issue. This is a nationwide issue. Somebody just told me they went to pharmacy school. They ended up owing over $200,000, Brandon. That just seems like a lot of money. $200,000 before you ever get your first payday. Mike on the road. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, Moon. When I graduated in education about 30 years ago, I was paying $300 a month and had a little student loan that I had to pay back. But it was well worth it because I had an education degree that I was able to use for 30 years. My daughter graduated in nursing. She's now working in Australia, and I think she was on some scholarship, so her degree was well worth it. My son was on a 3-year athletic scholarship. We had to pay his senior year, which was astronomical for 1 year, but, it was very affordable because it was just 1 year. He's actually getting a graduate school scholarship also now, but he's graduating in business, and I would say if he didn't get all that scholarship, it wouldn't have been worth it for him. So I think, like you said, unless you're in a professional degree, it's not. You get a general studies degree, and it costs you $100,000. I mean, that's never going to wash out.
No, and that's what. But what bothers me, do you think they're pricing themselves out for the average Joe? I think they are. I think we're not. I think we're not looking at that. We're only looking at why they need more money and people are fighting for their tops. And I'm wondering if let's just say there were no scholarships. That's just you and me. There were no scholarships. What would be the cost of going a higher ed? What would be the cost? It wouldn't be high. Wouldn't be high at all because it would be people that would have to go borrow money to go, or they would put their own money out to go, or they'd work while they go.
Correct.
And you wouldn't. The cost of it. I don't know. I just think the cost of it is out of proportion with what we're getting for it. And yes, sir.
What's interesting? My son has four classes right now in graduate school, and he has not one teacher. Everything is online, every single class.
Well, that's another thing.
That makes you wonder.
They can do a lot of stuff online. They're doing a lot of stuff online that should be a lot cheaper.
Yep, exactly. Listen, one more thing. I called that hotline that said we will forgive you student loan debt, and I was acting facetious, and I said I want my student loan paid. And so they called me back, and the guy started asking me questions. I started laughing. I said, listen, I'm just joking. I paid my student loan. I said, why should I be paying for somebody's student loan? And you know what he told me?
What?
He said, this is going to be just like the housing crisis. He said there's going to be so many defaults that we're scared, the government's scared that there's going to be a bubble burst because of the amount of loans out there that cannot be paid back.
Yep. And guess what? Is people that have borrowed money and didn't even get a degree, and there's been people that have borrowed money, like you said, maybe they got a degree that's not as flattering as something else, and they can't pay it back, and all of a sudden there's a problem. And that's what I'm telling you. We've priced ourselves out, and when Obama and them took over this loan program, the university skyrocketed, and I hadn't had a kid in school in 6 years. I'm going to find out in 3.5 how much it's going to cost. I'm probably going to be in shell shock.
I'm going to leave you with just one thought. The problem again, what is the problem? Government in education. Thank you, Moon.
All right, thanks for the call. By the way, good point. Mike on the road, never mind. People got stories out there, folks. I've heard them. I mean, you folks out there going, I can't believe he's talking about that kind of stuff. Because I hear the stories. I see what's happening. I'm going to keep focusing on, when I read the president of LSU crying that other places were recruiting our kids, I thought they've always recruited our kids. The biggest recruitment going right now is not the kids going to universities. Listen to me on this. The biggest recruitment going on now are the kids leaving the universities and looking for good jobs. The biggest recruitment is finding people that are making good grades and offering them good jobs. That's where we fall short in Louisiana because nobody wants to tackle on the fact that we don't care about business in this state. We only care about government. I'll say it again. The biggest recruitment going on in young kids are not to get them away from our schools when they're going to college. The biggest recruitment is when they leave college, go and find a job. Norman in Poacher Bridge. How you doing, Norman?
Moon, I'm doing okay. I just want to tell you a story from the last century. I have 2 degrees, an undergraduate and a master's, and I'm tell you what, I am not working in either one of the things I have them in. I don't regret doing it, but here's the deal. How did I pay for it? You know, in the last century, I had a $5 scholarship, by the way, because I won at some literary rally or something.
$5.
So it took me $5. It took me about a semester to blow that. And in the meantime, I had a job at the library. I had, of course, you go to the blood bank every 8 weeks and get $10.
Everybody used to do that.
And I worked for my dad and my two uncles. When I wasn't in school, I was working somewhere.
I was too.
And when I finished, I made when I got my degree in education, I taught for 2 years. I had made $5,400 a year. I didn't know what to do with all my money. I bought a car and I took flying lessons.
Yeah, that's going back to the Stone Ages, but I understand.
There you go. So where did we change from my day? And I think my uncles and aunts helped me a little bit.
Hey, I got to go. We changed the day we decided we needed to be real expensive and everybody needed to make six figures. Hi, y'all all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Rumor again, Paul Ryan may resign, U.S. House Speaker. Scalise will replace him if he resigns. I hope he goes myself. I wish he'd take McConnell with him. And I wish we could get the liberal Republicans out of it. By the way, the great one, Mayor Mitch Landrieu, who ran New Orleans into the ground, wins the JFK Profile and Courage Award for Confederate monuments removal. I wonder what award he got, Brandon, when he voted to put Confederate license plates on the back of people's cars if they wanted. They didn't give him an award for that, did he? Courageous. He's done all that in the name of wanting to be the Democrat nominee for president. He ran a city into the ground in every department. He didn't save it from crime. Hell, we get a 6-inch rain, they flood. I mean, boy, that's really good. You got rid of the monuments, and he's on a book tour. His book tour has more to do with trouble than Stormy Daniels. It really does. All right, let's go to phone lines. Walt in Shreveport. How you doing, Walt?
Doing fine. How y'all doing?
Doing fine, sir. Good to hear from you.
One little tidbit. The average college professor teaches less than 4 hours a day.
Yeah, there's been people complaining about that, too. The ones making the six figures are not always doing all the teaching. Now, somebody can call me and say, well, you're not in my class. I teach every class. That's good for you. And I just want to know, why does it take 3 times the amount of money in a university to teach than it does teaching kids at K through 12?
I agree, but I thank you for taking my call. I just thought I'd let you know. Thank you.
All right, man. Appreciate the call. See, I didn't see a stat on that, Brandon, but I know it's out there that a lot of these big shots, you got to understand what some of these professors get to do. They get to write papers and books, go on speaking tours, and they make extra money outside their university pay. A lot of them do it. A lot of them have jobs outside their university pay. They get it because they're at the university. I bet y'all didn't know that, did you? I just think that there comes a time we better look at why is it skyrocketing prices. And if nobody's going to address that, we're in trouble. By the way, I talked about state retirement. New state workers would have revamped retirement plans under a bill that cleared its first hurdle yesterday. An effort to raise the age of retirement include 401k style components to the pension plan, just like you got, Brandon, or somebody working with a company. For many newly highly ranked and filed state workers took his first step Monday. This is a bill I believe is a good policy for the state, said Senator Barrow Peacock, chairman of the Senate Retirement Committee. 25-page sweeping technical language. Senate Bill 14. Essentially will require employees hired after January 1st, 2020 to contribute 4% of their income to their pensions. The other 4% contributed by employees would go in a defined contribution, which is similar to 401ks. By the way, CB talked about this years ago. The pension bubble, we're at $21 billion now. It's going to be over $29 billion. The retirement system's in trouble. Not one mayor, not one governor, not one has worked on this, including Bill Edwards. I try to tell them that there's nothing changing with Bill Edwards. They just want to continue everything going the same way. Also, lowering Louisiana's legal drinking age. Senate Bill 429 allowed 19 and 20-year-olds to buy and consume alcohol. One of the reasons is, according to Senator Eric LaFleur, we just got a problem with them, man. They're all over the place, and they're using fake IDs and getting bars, getting older people to buy them drinks. We don't want to do that anymore. So let me ask the question, if we do lower this to 19 where they buy drinks for 17, 18, and 16-year-olds.
It's the trickle-down effect.
Yeah, by
no
the way,
doubt about it.
By the way, Brandon, this is coming on a time that the administrations in the universities, some lawmakers are pushing against college drinking, filing hazing deaths at LSU players. Remember that? A lot of drinking going on at universities, which that's never going to change. But they're trying to stop it and put a halt to some of it. But not Eric LaFleur. Eric LaFleur is, let's say, let's drink it, baby, drink it. All right. Stewart and, oh, never mind, we lost it. Well, I mean, I wasn't that long.
Just hung up.
All right, 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Anyway, we're going to lower. Like I said, I wish they would decide what age we want to be official on everything. 21, 19, 18, 35, whatever it is. And let's just do that. All right, Jack and Bossier. How you doing, Jack?
Hey, what's up, Moon? Years ago, the federal government had to just threaten Louisiana with withholding highway funds and everything else to get them to raise it to 21.
Correct.
So if they lower it, are we going to have the same thing in reverse?
Well, you're dealing with liberal Democrat Eric LaFleur. I don't know how much thinking's going on. All I'm saying is that we keep playing with all the numbers here. We do this in everything. We do it in our economy. We do it with our jobs. We do it with our businesses. We do it with gambling. We're always changing the rules. We do it in education. I mean, every 3 to 5 years, we got a whole new education plan that's going to set the world on fire, only to change it again in 3 to 5 years. And that's one of our problems here. We change everything over and over and over again.
And if you don't want to change the rules, just change the words.
That's true. Yeah, gaming and gambling are two different things. You didn't know that, I bet you.
Yeah, I bet I did. And a tax and a franchise fees, two different things too.
That's correct. A fee is a fee, but a tax, that's a tax. That's what we do, though, and we're very good at it, by the way.
All right, buddy.
All right, man. By the way, let me give you another one.
Keep it on.
Hey, let me give you one more. We dedicate all our money so the budget doesn't work right, but we can't go undedicated because the budget won't work right. So dedication and undedication is all the same thing, too.
I get that. I mean, I don't know where we're going. We might just have to move.
Here's the problem. The ones driving the bus in this state, they have no clue where they're going. They have no clue. Anyway, got to run. Thanks for the call. All right, let's couple calls real quick. Let's go to Pat, New Iberia. Pat, how you doing? I'm sorry. Marcel on the road. I said you were next. You ain't brought me a king cake in a while. That's why I was jumping you.
Did I finally get through to the Rush Limbaugh show?
Close.
Man. Hey, so this march that went on this past weekend.
Yeah.
All these kids about this freedom march. How do you think they would feel if we banned the use of cell phones? You have to be 21 years of age before you get a cell phone. The statistics of how many kids die, I think it's like 11 a day due to driving and texting.
Yep. Good point.
That kills far more people than the random lunatics that decide to go on a shooting spree.
And so you think we ought to raise the cell phone limit from 8 years old or 7 years old to 21?
That's right. I think that's a great idea.
I mean, they got people with cell phones at 6 and 7 and 8 already.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I see your point. The whole gun thing is the left. And by the way, those young kids that are doing that, I believe they're doing it with a sincere heart. But somebody's paying to get them there. Somebody's paying to push it. The press is picking it up.
They're being used.
Yeah.
They're being used. I don't know if anybody's told you lately, but man, your producer, your call screener, the handler, does a great job, man. Yeah. I tell you what, that guy. I sure hope you're taking him with you when you go to Alaska.
See, you know why we laughing? That's funny. That's real funny. My wife has invited his wife, but he can't come. Somebody got a hold of Fort. Somebody got a hold of Fort Down.
Or you mean man the ship?
All right, got to run, Marcel.
Marcel.
All right, let's go to Pat, New Iberia. Pat, how you doing?
Hey, happy spring, guys. You mean if you bring Brandon to Alaska with you, we're going to have to rename him Brandon Eskimo? Is that how that works?
Look, whatever you want to call him, that's fine, but he's just known simply as the handler.
Okay, look, I got a couple of thoughts on issues of the day, and you touched on one of them earlier about the drinking age. Let's lower that drinking age to 10. Because, 10-year-olds on bicycles can't kill a lot of folks when they're drunk. And by the time you're 16 and ready to drive that car, there ain't no way you're going to be hanging around with a bunch of 10-year-olds in a bar. So you be past that. And another thing, let's get that voting age down. Let's get that voting age down to 10. Everybody thinks that's a lock-set vote for the liberals. But I think once you tell those kids this, everybody, they're not going to vote for that.
By the way, you broke up. What'd you say? Once you tell the kids what?
That it's their money and their future that's getting stolen with all the spending going on. They're not going to support that.
Yeah. One day you hope it turns around. I thought it did in this last election. I think people voted for Donald Trump because they were tired of the same old Republicans and Democrat bull. They were just tired of it.
Yeah.
And that's why they want to destroy him, because there's nobody else up there fighting for that. And that's a shame. That's a sin and a shame, Pat. All right, brother. Appreciate the call.
Well, it's good. Good deal.
All right, thank you, bud. Appreciate the call. Hey, man, I do want to mention, too, one other thing that, our cruise is coming up July 13th through the 20th. And April 3rd, which is next Tuesday, a week from today, from 5 to 7 at Stone Forks Restaurant, we will be in Shreveport. I will be there. A couple people from Travel Machine will be there. And we need you to RSVP. If you want to know anything about the cruise, you ought to come on out, take a look at it. You can get all your questions answered. We're going to feed you, and we'll have something to drink and eat for you at Stone Forks Restaurant on April 3rd, 5 to 7. But we need you to RSVP if you would. And that's Brandon. Well, I did not pull it out. We need you to RSVP. And if you would RSVP, it would help us so much, because we want to know how many people we have to feed. But we want you to come out. We want you to ask questions. Look, 100% of y'all that's coming to the deal will not come, but a lot of you will if you can get your questions answered. So we're going to do this next Tuesday at Stone Forks Restaurant, April 3rd from 5 to 7. But if you want to register, this is how you got to register. SurveyMonkey.com/forward, the letter R/forward, cruise dinner. Just go on there. It's an easy fill out. You fill it out, send it in, and you're registered. You're in. We're counting on you. Let us know how many people's coming. You can do that at SurveyMonkey.com/forward R/forward cruise dinner. And the other way to do it is TravelMachine.net. So, but that's how you register. We can make sure we have plenty of food for you. It's going to be in Shreveport on April 3rd, Stone Forks Restaurant, but we need you to register so we just know how many's coming. I'll be there. We'll be visiting with all y'all and having a good time, and we'll even feed you in the process. So come on out and visit with us. That is next Tuesday. All right. By the way, I don't know if y'all saw this. They did the New York wrote the Paris Climate Accord, Global Warming Conference, are starting to look like fantasy. And one of the things they promised is that they would keep the temperature from going up over 2 degrees. They said, let me tell you what they're saying now. That if they don't stop, and this is something Trump pulled us out, thank God. Okay? Pulled us out. They said that failure to do this will make it equivalent of 25 Holocaust. But there were 6 million Jews killed. That if we don't do something about the climate, that it will be the equivalent of 25 Holocausts, but 150 million people would die. 5 times the size of the death toll of the Great Leap Forward. This is what they're telling people. And people are buying that. Young people are buying that if we don't do something, we're going to kill 150 million people, and the temperature and the air temperature going to get so hot, and all that is bogus. We can't do anything about the sunshine, the moonshine. I guess you can make moonshine. You can't do anything about hurricanes, tornadoes, the wind blowing hard, rain, snow when it falls, when it don't rain, when you don't have enough water. That's been going on since the man and time began. And these people are writing articles. And they got a big sun, Brandon. You see that? All the corn crops are dried up. They can't grow corn. And people are buying this stuff every day. This is what Obama tried to shove down our throat. Thank God Bush pulled us out of this ignorance. By the way, John Kasich the other day on TV. Trump. John Kasich was on TV saying Trump should have never pulled us out of this. Telling people that it's going to be 25 times worse than the Holocaust. 150 million people are going to die, Brandon. And we can change the weather by what we do in the United States of America. You talk about nutting up. And people in this country are buying this crap every day. Bogus bunch of nothing. We're going to change the weather. You and me, what we do today is going to affect hurricanes coming out of the Africa area. If you buy that, folks, I got a house for sale. It's an $18 million home. $18 million home. And I'll sell it to you for $9 million. Pretty good deal, huh, Brandon? You want to buy it? If you did, that means you believe in climate change. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.